CM Punk was back on Raw tonight, but if you missed the first 15 minutes of the show, you didn't get to see CM Punk because he was in the opening segment and not seen again for the rest of the night. It was an opening talking segment with Punk and Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre has declared himself for the Royal Rumble match. So if there was any wondering whether or not they were going to do one more match with him and Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title, the answer to that question is no. Although if he wins the Royal Rumble, he'll get his match. But he is in the Royal Rumble. He and Punk sparred back and forth in the ring in one of the highlights of the show tonight. Punk said his piece and made it very clear that he was going to be the nice guy and save Drew for last. Of all the people that he plans to eliminate in the Royal Rumble, Drew McIntyre made it very clear why he has to win the Rumble this year, because he won the Rumble 4 years ago and went to WrestleMania in front of no fans. And with everybody leaving and staying home, which, if you remember, Roman Reigns did that during the whole pandemic. He stayed home. Drew had to take the mantle of leader and carry the company on his back, but now he's got to win the Rumble and go back to the main event of WrestleMania for himself. Pretty damn enjoyable back and forth to open the show between these two men. And I have nothing really negative to say about anything from that segment. However, later on this same show, we had Seth Rollins in the ring interrupted by Jinder Mahal. As soon as I saw Jinder come out there for the second week in a row, I saw Jinder come out and I said, oh no. Because Drew is occupied, which leaves a spot open at the Royal Rumble for Seth Rollins to defend his World Heavyweight title. Sure enough, we got a back and forth verbal exchange between Jinder and Seth that ended with Seth trying to stomp his head into the mat. Jinder escaped. And then they announced that there will be a match on Raw next week. Triple H is booking a match on Raw in Little Rock next Monday night for the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins is going to defend the world title against Jinder Mahal. The same Jinder Mahal who got punked out on TV last week by The Rock. The same Jinder Mahal who, prior to that, I couldn't even tell you the last time we saw him on television. But what I can tell you is that the last time we saw him, he was a manager. He was managing Veer and Sangha. And all of a sudden, Jinder Mahal has backdoored his way into a World Heavyweight Championship match on television next week. But if you think that that's going to be the end of it, then you have another thing coming. Because again, I will repeat what I said before. Seth Rollins has no obvious challenger for the Royal Rumble. So I'm looking at this, they're going to do the match on TV next week. Yeah, the first one. You really think that's going to be the only match between those two? I'll bet you anything Seth Rollins is going to be defending that World Heavyweight title again at the Royal Rumble against Jinder Mahal. Because Drew McIntyre is already declared for the Rumble itself, so they're going to go with the other member of 3MB. Unfortunately for them, they don't really have a lot of great options. It's too bad they couldn't go ahead and build up somebody like Bronson Reed, for a one-time title match at the Royal Rumble. I think that would have been fine. I would have enjoyed that. Other than that, they don't have that many great options. But at least Bronson Reed has been on television occasionally over the last few months. We have Jinder Mahal getting a title match next week, and I would bet you anything he's going to be challenging for that title again at the Royal Rumble. People like to talk about Triple H. I see this expression all the time, how Triple H is cooking, man. All these things that Triple H is doing now in WWE, he's cooking. What's Triple H cooking up? Well, I'll tell you what. As far as, there he is, yeah, Triple H, the cook over here. Chef Ramsay. Even the best chefs sometimes use the wrong ingredients. The meat's a little dry. It tastes like shit. I'd like to send it back to the kitchen. Doesn't mean I'm not going to eat at the restaurant again. It's my favorite restaurant. But this meal isn't cutting it. And Cody Rhodes was in the main event tonight, which is where he should be at WrestleMania this year, and where he will be at WrestleMania this year. He was in the main event tonight in a street fight against Shinsuke Nakamura. And finally blowing off their feud, or at least I certainly hope, finally blowing off this feud here between the two of them. I don't really see any reason for it to continue after tonight. You know, the thing about Nakamura, you know, we know his history. We know where he comes from and, you know, all the things he did in New Japan, came to WWE, a lot of fanfare in NXT, won a Royal Rumble, wrestled AJ Styles at WrestleMania, and really since then hasn't done anything at that level, right? They've had these start and stop pushes with him. When they need him, they'll kind of, you know, shine him up a little bit and throw him out there. But he's pretty much at the level that he's going to be at. But we saw what they did with him later in the year last year with Seth Rollins. They needed someone for Seth to work with, and they said, well, we're going to build up Nakamura so that we can get a couple of title matches out of this. And they wrestled at Payback, and they wrestled again at Fastlane, and he lost both times. He never beat Seth Rollins. Now, he may go out there and beat the members of Alpha Academy, because I think he's got wins over all of them. Tozawa and Otis and Chad Gable. But when it counts, he goes out there and he loses. So, again, the credibility issue is at play here. You can put him in there and have a couple of television matches with him if you want to. Kill some time, right? He's a warm body. But, again, the reality is there's a credibility gap there because Nakamura doesn't go out there and win anymore. All he does is lose, like he did to Seth Rollins and like he now has done to Cody Rhodes. Their first match, and now tonight, that's the issue with putting Nakamura in there. There's no real drama as far as how this is going to end. Now, the blow-off should never have been anything other than Cody winning. But it would have been nice to have a back and forth maybe, make it a little competitive. And they didn't do that. They didn't do that with the Rollins feud, and they didn't do that with the Cody feud either. And after this, I don't know what other feud Nakamura is going to move on to. He'll move on to the Royal Rumble. He'll probably, him and Cody will go at it again in the Rumble. And then he'll be eliminated, and that'll be the end of that. But the question with the Royal Rumble is it going to be Cody Rhodes? Is it going to be CM Punk, or is it going to be somebody else? Because the only realistic options that I see right now are Cody or Punk. Now, there's a lot of big names potentially that are going to be in this Rumble. We already know Cody and Punk. We know that McIntyre has declared, Bobby Lashley has declared, and there's going to be a bunch of other names who are going to end up in there as well. So I think you're going to get a lot of star power in this year's Rumble. Whoever it isn't is likely going to have to win their way to WrestleMania and their title match by winning the Elimination Chamber. But that was a narrative on Raw tonight. Cody, is he going to be the first man since Stone Cold Steve Austin to win back-to-back Royal Rumbles? It's something that they said has not happened in 26 years. Can he be the first since Stone Cold to do the impossible? It was almost like they were laying it on a little thick. If this continues, it's almost like making it too obvious that he might win, which makes me think it will be Punk winning the Rumble. But honestly, other than the two of them, I mean, who else would it be? But I thought they opened strong and they ended strong with the street fight. Everything else in between, there was really nothing wrong with it, but I can't say that it was anything terribly exciting. Tonight was a textbook Monday Night Raw that would have been great as a 2-hour show, but as a 3-hour show, you felt it. Or at least I did. This is your Monday Night Raw review. It is January 8th, 2024. I am the Solomonster. Like and subscribe. We get 400 likes. We will do our Be the Booker segment a little bit later on. Super chats are open. Hey, Julian Shaw, thank you for that $9.99. Very kind of you. There's a bunch of new ones down below if you want to check those out. I want to give a shout out to Paul Hamilton. You hear me mention his name a lot. The Portland pop star. Raw was in Portland tonight, and guess who was in the front row? On the hard camera side, a little off to the right, kind of behind the ring post, was Paul Hamilton. And he had a sound off banner that made TV briefly a few times. He was wearing a Solomonster shirt. So I want to salute Paul. Paul always represents the podcast. Every time they bring TV to Portland, even though they're stealing people's signs. Apparently, it's a building policy now, I guess. They just take your signs as you come into the building. He's become hip to it, so he has other items that he brings to the building so they can't take it away from him because they don't see it on him. But any way he can support the show, he always does. So, Paul, thank you very much. Poor Michael Cole had to work the show tonight. He is losing his voice. It sounded like he was under the weather, but at one point he made a comment about losing his voice. But he soldiered on, and we had Drew McIntyre in the ring to open the show. He had a little something to say. He said last week was all or nothing for him because he needed the World Heavyweight title, and yet he did not get it. Because he wrestled Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship on the Day 1 episode. He said he cost himself the match by accidentally pulling Seth's foot onto the ropes when he was pinning him. McIntyre said that others may be right in that he may be responsible for holding himself back. He said if that's the case, he needs to get his priorities right and step away from WWE for a while. He said that's how he felt until a couple of days ago. And then he realized that the better man did not win. He pointed to Damian Priest cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase. That's what he said. He didn't actually cash in his Money in the Bank. He attempted to cash in his Money in the Bank. He misspoke. The bell never rang. So he attempted to cash in Money in the Bank. McIntyre asked why Priest didn't just wait. Why didn't he wait for him to beat Seth and win the title? Then he would have been exhausted. He would have been beaten down. And then he could have cashed in. And he called him an idiot, which is exactly what I said about Damian Priest at the end of last week's show. So thank you for proving me right. It's like Eric Bischoff, apparently on his podcast, went out and said that The Rock and Roman Reigns should wrestle at the Elimination Chamber. And it was like that meme. You know, I don't know. I see it sometimes where it's like you get that person's face and it's like, oh my God, you've agreed with like the worst person in the world and you actually agree on something. Not that Bischoff is the worst in the world. I could think of a few ahead of him on the list. There's not a lot I agree with Eric Bischoff about, but he and I are pretty much in sync on that. So I was happy to see that. At least again, some common sense is prevailing. But yes, he called Damian Priest an idiot. He said that basically Priest not only screwed McIntyre, but he screwed himself as well. And so between that and Cody using his political powers to bring Jey Uso over to Raw, CM Punk being welcomed back with open arms, maybe he should leave for 9 years and get a hero's welcome when he comes back. Cult of Personality interrupted, and out walks CM Punk to the ring in his jacket. He looked like he just got to the building. He looked like he jumped out of his car service or his Uber, had no time, just went right out there, kept his jacket on. He probably kept the jacket on when he got to the back and he left right away too. So he said, we are in Piper country, because they were in Portland. Of course, Piper was huge in Portland for a number of years. And the crowd cheered. He said that he was disappointed that McIntyre didn't come out here wearing the kilt. Said Roddy Piper was known for talking. CM Punk is known for talking. He goes, is Drew McIntyre known for talking? Because, and the fans booed. He says, because since I've come back, that's all you've been doing. But since I heard my name, I thought I would come out so that you could just say whatever you have to say to my face. And he laid across the top turnbuckle the way that Shawn Michaels used to do. And he waited for Drew to speak. And McIntyre congratulated Punk on going just over a month, and he's still here. He said that he's got a bet with some of the boys in the back that he's going to crash and burn, and Punk just cost a lot of people a lot of money. The longer he sticks around, he's costing them more money. He said maybe him and Seth have more in common than they realize. He said Drew is one of the few on the roster that has traveled the world for years with Punk. So many things happened that were caused by him. The first thing that comes to mind, he goes, it's only a 3-hour show. We could be here all night. But the first thing that comes to mind when he thinks of the way that Punk impacted his career is when Punk was the champion, and he used to refer to himself as the locker room leader. There were times where even when he was in the back, he would say that. He would announce that. Back then, Drew said he needed a leader because at that time he was in a very dark place. He had just lost the person closest to him in his life. His career was in a tailspin. He says he's good now, but back then he was not. He was just a kid. He had personal issues. He could have benefited from having a real leader there to tell him that everything was going to be okay. But Punk saw him as a threat. And he spoke to Randy Orton about this, but Orton couldn't help him. Orton had his own demons. Punk is straight edge. He didn't have demons. He is a demon. McIntyre declared, "I'm the leader, kid. I'm the leader now. I'm the captain now." McIntyre laid across the top turnbuckle just like Punk did to mock him. So Punk said that he's called himself a lot of things in life, but a leader was never one of them. He said he led by example. If Drew wants his hand held, he can pledge allegiance to the straight edge society and shave his head. Punk talked about Drew leaving and coming back bigger, faster, stronger. What's he implying? What is Punk insinuating? He said Drew came back bigger, faster, stronger, won the Royal Rumble, main event of WrestleMania. Punk is following Drew the way that Drew followed him when he left. Now he's mad. As far as being a demon, he says he's not a demon, but when pushed, he is Satan himself. Some have even said that their lives feel threatened when you push Punk and he gets very angry. People tend to fear for their lives. It's just what I heard. That's what was said on national television. He said Drew is one of the few that saw that side of him. He says the fact that he did says more about Drew than it does about Punk. Because he's a real nice guy, he says, until it's time not to be. And Punk looked at his watch and said, "It looks like it's getting to be that time." He goes, "I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to win the Royal Rumble and to main event WrestleMania." The Judgment Day. We're not at the Judgment Day yet. Look at these fuckers. I haven't gotten to the Judgment Day yet, and they're already interrupting me. Peter Mason, thank you for the $32. The Judgment Day, making their presence felt here tonight. So McIntyre spoke about how the world shut down when he won the championship. He said some superstars went home. He assumed that if Punk was still around at that time, he would have been one of those stars to go home. He had to step up for everybody else. McIntyre said he would win the Rumble because he is officially entering himself into the Royal Rumble. And he's going to headline WrestleMania, and this time, it will be for himself. Punk stepped up and told McIntyre that it was getting a little spicy, so he would lead by example by walking away before he knocked Drew's teeth down his throat. Punk said that the only person who can stop Punk from accomplishing his goals is himself, and he got out of his way a long time ago. Not so sure about that. Punk said McIntyre can't stop him, Seth Rollins can't stop him, Cody can't stop him. And because he's such a nice guy, he's going to throw Drew out last in the Rumble. And Punk then left the ring while McIntyre smirked at him from inside the ring. A great promo segment here. A very fun back and forth here between these two. This is where Punk thrives, right? He thrives in these types of segments, but I thought McIntyre, for all the fire that was thrown at him, I thought he held his own. I like how he pointed out how he won the Rumble 4 years ago, and he earned the right to challenge for the title. He got his WrestleMania main event, but the world came to an end, and he had to step up for everybody else in a very dark period in the world, but also, for the company with no fans. But this time, he's going to do it all over again. He's going to win the Rumble. He's going to go to Mania, and he's not doing it for anybody else. He's not doing it for the people. He's doing it for himself. That is his mission statement. He feels like he was cheated out of his moment. And you know what? He was. It's something that you can believe that he believes. That he got screwed out of what should have been the biggest moment of his career. And instead he beat Brock Lesnar in 4 minutes in an empty warehouse. And it's a very easy story to buy into. Now he wants the moment that he feels he was robbed of. All those years ago. And, with Punk, they're going with the tact that he's a nice guy until he gets pushed. And then we see the real CM Punk. I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if that line in there about Drew making a bet with the boys in the back about when Punk was going to melt down. I wouldn't be shocked if that was a real thing that was going on. I'm sure some of them have a bet going, putting some money in the pot. When's this guy going to have his meltdown? Someone's going to make a lot of money. I tend to think it won't happen until 2025. I think he'll be okay. I think he'll be on his best behavior in 2024. Once we get to next year, I don't know. It's a little dicey. But again, it still feels like we have only a couple of legitimate options as far as the Royal Rumble winner. I think it's either Cody Rhodes or CM Punk. I think those are the two that we're looking at. You could make the case for Drew McIntyre. You could. You could make the case for Sami Zayn. Remember what Sami said on television a few months ago. He's going to make it his mission to prove to people that he can be a world champion. For all the people who say, you're not world title material, he is going to prove them wrong by becoming a world champion. And I believe he will. I don't know if it's going to happen this quickly, but I do believe that it will happen. So, people can buy into the idea that Sami Zayn could win the Royal Rumble. He could be a dark horse pick for the Rumble this year. Assuming Sami is in it. He hasn't declared for the Rumble yet. There's no reason to think that Gunther is going to win the Rumble. I would have said differently, even a month and a half ago. But so long as he's the Intercontinental Champion, I don't see there being any reason to believe that Gunther has a shot at winning the Royal Rumble this year. So again, it really comes down to Cody or Punk. Look at Richie Rich over here dropping all this money on me. Hey, I just want you to know, I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A-Rock, you rock. And I just wanted you to know that. Well, say his name and he shows up. He's like Beetlejuice. It's Paul Hamilton dropping a $100 super chat. He might be dropping that from the building. He might not have even left the building yet. Says, thank you, Solomonster. You are the GOAT of podcasters. Happy New Year, everyone, from the Portland Pop Star. See, so he's not only is he in the building tonight, and he's showing some love, he's wishing everybody in the chat a Happy New Year. This guy does it all, man. Legitimately one of the nicest people that I've ever dealt with. Paul Hamilton. Paul, thank you for the $100 super chat bomb.
Yowie wowie.
Wow. Finn Bálor against Tommaso Ciampa. Before he made his entrance, Ciampa cut a promo while walking through the back on his way to the gorilla position. He had Johnny Gargano with him, which is another small little production change. You can tell they're testing different things, different ways maybe of shooting things. Last week, the show opened with the announcers standing in the middle of the ring to introduce everybody to the show. So we've already seen a couple of changes that they're testing out here since Kevin Dunn put in his notice and left the company. Arrivederci. Ciampa called this next match a must-win. He said DIY had a resolution to win the tag team titles in 2024. Could we be looking at DIY challenging the Judgement Day and beating the Judgement Day at WrestleMania for the undisputed tag team titles? Ciampa avoided a coup de grace and got a crucifix pin for 2. Ciampa set up for Willow's Bell, but got distracted when Damian Priest climbed up on the apron. Ciampa hit Priest with a forearm. It had no effect. So Gargano went after him, and that didn't work. Priest fought him off, and he picked up Gargano to deliver a razor's edge. He was going to give him a razor's edge through the announce table. Gargano was able to wiggle his way out, and Ciampa came flying off the apron with a knee strike that took down Mr. Money in the Bank. As Ciampa re-entered the ring, Bálor kicked the middle rope up into his crotch, and he went for a suplex. Gargano reached in and tripped him, causing Ciampa to fall on top of Bálor. This was the Bobby Heenan Ultimate Warrior spot from the match Warrior had with Rude at WrestleMania 5. That's the first time I ever saw that spot in a match. It was WrestleMania 5. And it worked. It worked there and it worked here. And Ciampa picked up the win. Not ideal to have your baby faces have to cheat to win, but you got to fight fire with fire, right? Judgment Day tried to cheat. They tried to interfere first, so what's good for one is good for the other. Yeah, the sad thing is that in NXT, Bálor against Ciampa which I'm pretty sure we got that match. But Balor against Ciampa would have been a PLE. Actually, I know we did. That's a PLE-worthy match. Here, it was average at best, because it really wasn't about them going out there and having this long, great match. But these two, I have seen what these two can do in the ring together. That's not what this was. Now, maybe they're building to a title match sooner. I mentioned WrestleMania. I'd like to see it at WrestleMania. I don't know if they're going to shoot an angle where the Judgment Day, there's a fracture within the group before WrestleMania. Maybe we get Balor against Priest one-on-one. But I would like to see them take this all the way to WrestleMania, play it out a little bit longer, because we have not seen DIY back together for very long. We have not seen them rack up that many wins. They're going to be wrestling Dominic and JD McDonough in Little Rock next Monday, and they'll probably win there too. That indicates to me we may be getting the match at the Royal Rumble or on television sometime before the end of the month. And you could do that, and the Judgment Day can win. And then they can continue to try to build DIY up for a rematch. So you could do that as well. You don't have to wait, right? They're not going to wait until WrestleMania to do the first match. But I think if the goal is to get the belts on Gargano and Ciampa, I'd like to see it happen at WrestleMania. I just think that they need to get a few more wins first, as far as being built up as challengers that people can really buy into, because they're still not over at the level they were in NXT. I think they'll get there. I mean, you even saw it with the women's tag team champions tonight, which we'll talk about, with Katana Chance and Kayden Carter, and the reaction that they got during their match tonight. Some of these people are getting over slowly, but it's going to take time. But I'm just glad Triple H had the sense to put these two back together finally. Now you got to let it play out a little bit. And if the plan is to get to Mania and put the belts on them there, I'd love to see it. Now, Jackie Redmond was in the back to interview Becky Lynch, and she was interviewing her about her loss last week to Nia Jax. Becky knew, before their match even happened, she said she knew that if Nia hit her as hard as she could end up in the hospital with broken bones. But Nia did hit her as hard as she could. And while she did lose the match and she got her mouth busted open, she said that she dusted herself off, she got back up, and she declared herself for the Royal Rumble. The last time she declared for the Royal Rumble, she main evented WrestleMania. And Becky said that she didn't end Nia the way that she wanted to, but Nia didn't end her either. And so maybe this was not the end, but rather the beginning. We had Kofi Kingston one-on-one with Ludwig Kaiser. On commentary, Michael Cole informed us that Giovanni Vinci is going to be out of action for a number of weeks after the spot last week, that scary spot where he did the springboard out of the corner, and Kofi caught him flush on the jaw with that drop kick, and then he hit the mat, and the back of his head smacked the mat, and the referee knew right away that this guy was not quite right. And he called an end to the match because they feared he might be concussed. And so that tells me if he's going to be out for weeks, that he may be concussed. Even though he left on his own power, he seemed to be okay last week. They obviously are concerned he might be concussed. So we're not going to see him for a little bit. Kaiser was the aggressor here. He was looking for revenge for what happened to his partner. Kingston hit a trust fall dive after a break. Kaiser, though, ended up posting him moments later. And Kaiser tried a running uppercut into the barricade. Kingston moved, and the only thing that got uppercut was the barricade. Kingston tried making it back into the ring before a 10 count. Kaiser, though, stopped him, and they both got counted out. And the crowd gave this loud boos. They did not like that finish. Deservedly so. Deservedly so. Very shitty finish to the match. The finish sucked. But that was kind of the point, because it set up the post-match angle, which did not suck. In fact, the post-match angle was very good. Very well done. Kingston, what happened is he got back in the ring. He was talking to the ref. The ref says, no,
everyone, it's Samoa BRO.
Both you guys got counted out. That's it. Double count out. So Kofi, he did a suicide dive. Kaiser, though, after the suicide dive, knocked him backwards into the announce desk. He took his thumb, and he put his thumb in Kofi's eye. Kingston fought back, but he got pulled away by Jason Jordan and other officials who came out. It's still jarring to me, by the way. See, I know it's been years, but it's still jarring to see Jason Jordan out there with hair on his head. Because I don't think he had much the last time we saw him when he was wrestling. So Jason Jordan's out there. They're pulling Kofi away. And Kofi ends up going back over towards Kaiser. But as he is walking back over towards Ludwig Kaiser, he picks up one of those heavy announce chairs, like the black padded announce chairs. And he fucking launches this thing right at Kofi's head. And it looked like the wheel, one of the wheels on the bottom of the chair struck Kofi right in the eye. And he was fine, but I mean, it looked devastating. And Kofi dropped to the ground like he was fucking dead. I mean, this looked great. And it looked like, to me, it looked like he was laying there unconscious. And Michael Cole on commentary is like, oh, we need help. We need medical help, right? So it looked like that was going to be the end of it. And the officials are coming over. They're backing Kaiser away. And Kaiser ends up picking him back up. He lays him across. I thought he was going to curb stomp him on the fucking steps. But he lays him on top of the ring steps like he's going to try something sinister. And so the officials convince him to get the hell out of here. And he makes like, he's going to leave, right? Like, Back to the Future. Make like a tree and leave. So it looks like he's going to leave. And then he has a change of heart. He jogs back down. He jogs around the ring to build up a head of steam. And he ends up drop kicking Kofi's head into the steel steps. Because again, Kofi is laid out across the steps and his head is kind of like dangling off the side. And he just drop kicks his head right into the steel steps. And the announcers sold it great. And, Kaiser, now they're like, you got to get this guy out of here. This got him a ton of heat. And it was more effective than just having a regular match between them where one guy wins or the other guy wins. Like if Kaiser had won the match, it wouldn't have meant nearly as much as what this post-match angle meant. Because for the first time, think of all the times we've seen Ludwig Kaiser on the main roster now, all the years, however many years it's been, 2 years now maybe, that he's been on the main roster, maybe not even. Maybe year and a half. He's been made to look as weak as possible. He's been made to look like a geek. This is the first time I can remember Ludwig Kaiser being made to look like a killer. He had a mean streak in him here, the likes of which we have not seen. So he got a ton of heat for what he did to Kofi. It's also rare that we see a beatdown this intense on television. So it worked, because we don't see it very often on WWE TV. So I liked it. I liked the fact that he was the sole member of Imperium on the show tonight. He felt like he had to pick up the slack for his group and dole out some payback to this guy for what he did to his partner last week. And that's what he did. And after this, in the back, Jackie Redmond caught up with him. He was all pissed off. And Kaiser said that this was all Kofi's fault. Because of him, he was the only one there carrying the weight of Imperium. He said, he took Vinci's head, so tonight I took his. Eye for an eye. This was the best that Ludwig Kaiser has looked since I've seen him make his way up from NXT. I'd like to see more of that. That's one of the things I don't like about the booking of Imperium on the main roster. They're, as a team, Kaiser and Vinci, as far as them going after the tag team titles, they could have been a much bigger deal than they are, instead of just being the lowly lackeys of Gunther, right? They could be with Gunther, but actually have some credibility, and they really don't have any. But if we get to see more of this Ludwig Kaiser, that's what I want to see more. You have to think that now it's just a matter of waiting until Xavier Woods comes back. Maybe he'll be back next week. I know he was a little banged up, so they gave him some time off. I suspect we'll get him back on TV very soon. Michael Cole was standing in the ring to introduce us to everyone's favorite, Nia Jax. And so Nia comes down. She mocks Cole for not thinking that she would be able to break Becky's face again. Then she threatened to break Michael Cole's face. And then she said that she was focused on the Royal Rumble and said that neither Rhea Ripley nor Io Sky could stop her. And that was the cue for Rhea Ripley to make her way out to a huge babyface reaction. This woman is a superstar. The reaction that she got one of the best reactions on the entire show. I don't know if Paul is still with us. He was in the front row. He could speak to this better than anybody else. I don't know how it sounded in the building. Obviously, Cody got a big reaction. Seth got a nice reaction. Punk got a nice reaction. Rhea was right up there with them as far as the reaction that she got coming out here. And Cole, at this point, he disappeared from the ring. He did his vanishing act. Ripley said that these people know what's up, and they also know that Nia likes to talk a big game. She said that Nia was acting like she had already won the Rumble. And Rhea asked if she remembered what happened in last year's Royal Rumble. She said, I threw you out. And Ripley conceded that Nia beating Becky was an accomplishment, but Becky is not Rhea Bloody Ripley. Remember that line. Ripley told Nia that if she wins the Rumble, it's best to keep her name out of her mouth. Nia gave Ripley credit for being perhaps the most dominant champion in history, but Nia also dropped her on her ass when she returned. And Nia said that she would win the Rumble, and when she does, I'm gonna choose you. Pikachu, I choose you. She's calling her shot. She said, see you soon, unstoppable champ. Rhea saying what she said about Becky is going to be a line that they come back to. I mean, that line was in there for a reason. Because that right there is going to be your WrestleMania match. I do believe that it will be Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch for the Women's World Championship at WrestleMania. So that line there in that promo, that line, it might go unnoticed by some people, not by me. But it might go unnoticed by some people. Because they built the entire segment not around Becky, they built the entire segment around Nia Jax winning the Royal Rumble and Nia Jax coming for the, for the World Heavyweight title. As far as the Royal Rumble, here's the deal with the Women's Rumble. The Women's Rumble, I think, is a little less predictable, but not that much less than the Men's Rumble. The Men's Rumble, I think, really comes down to two people. I feel the same way about the Women's Rumble. I think it comes down to two people, Becky Lynch or Bayley. Now, my predictions, I went with Bayley to win the Rumble. It could be Becky. Again, it's going to be one or the other. If it's Becky, I think she eliminates Nia Jax to win the Royal Rumble. She gets her revenge on her. If Bayley wins the Rumble, if I'm right about that, and if Bayley is going to win her first Royal Rumble, because I just feel like you're going to have two people win the Rumble who have already won Rumbles before. I would think you want to have at least one person who is not a previous Royal Rumble winner. If Cody wins, he goes back to back. If Becky wins, that's her second win as well. You really want to do that? You really want to have, the same Royal Rumble person go over on the men's side and the women's side twice? I wouldn't do it that way. Bayley, yeah, she's been around for a long time. She's been around as long as Becky has. Actually, not even. Not even, because Bayley was the last one, right? She was the last of the four horsewomen to get called up. But she's never won a Royal Rumble before. So at least that would be something different. It could fit in with the whole, inevitable damage control breakup story. If Bayley wins the Rumble, I think we get one more match on TV. On television. Between Becky and Nia to see who goes to Elimination Chamber to challenge Rhea Ripley for the Women's World title. And I think Nia Jax is going to beat Becky Lynch again. I think she's going to have Becky's number, and I think the match for Elimination Chamber, is going to be Rhea Ripley defending against Nia Jax. Because think about it. They're going to be in Australia. Rhea Ripley is going to be a megastar down there. No matter what they do, she is going to be a babyface. She's a babyface in most of the buildings here in this country that she's in. Now imagine when she goes back to her home country, what kind of reaction she's going to get. So I think it would be best. You want to talk about the best way to use Nia Jax? And look, I'm not one that, I can't wait to see Nia Jax wrestling for the women's title, right? But in this case, I really think that's going to be the best spot and the best use of Nia Jax, because the one thing that Nia Jax has going for her more than anything else in this comeback run so far is the fact that she is getting a lot of heat. It's not quite Dominic levels, but even when she speaks, right, the people start raining boos down upon her. The people don't like her. They don't want to see her talk. They don't want to see her wrestle. So at least it's good for getting heat. Imagine the heat that Nia Jax will get if she is on the other side of the ring opposite Rhea Ripley in Australia. You could power the entire stadium. You'll generate so much heat. You could probably power all of Perth right? So I think that actually is the best spot for her to be in. And then Rhea can beat her. And then you could, I mean, as far as how do you get Becky into that spot, you could do another match. And then finally Becky gets her win over Nia, and that's what sends her to WrestleMania to wrestle Rhea. You could do it that way. There is a wild card here, though. And the wild card here is named Liv Morgan. Because Liv Morgan, I think we're going to see Liv Morgan as a surprise in the Royal Rumble. I think she'll be back by then. The last time we saw her on television, she was injured by Rhea Ripley in a steel chair. So the first thing she's going to be looking for when she comes back is revenge on Rhea Ripley. I don't think that she's going to win the Royal Rumble, but I do think that there is the chance that they do Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley at Elimination Chamber. I just think in this case, honestly, Nia and Rhea works better. I really do. But she is the wild card here. Could be Liv Morgan. Jackie Redmond.
It's the amazing Gunther.
Not Jackie Redmond. We have Gunther.
Lawler loves Gunther, the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
Drew Johnson with the $50 Gunther bomb says, make like a tree and get out of here. That's right. I forgot about he used to butcher it, right? In the movie. He can never get it right. Make like a tree and get out of here. $50 from Drew Johnson.
Yowie wowie.
Hey, Drew, thank you, man. Always good to hear from Drew. Make like a tree and get out of here, said Biff. One of the great villains in cinema. Biff Tannen. Jackie Redmond was in the back, and she was getting ready to interview Cody Rhodes when Shinsuke Nakamura attacked from behind. Of course, he was preparing for his main event against Shinsuke. And so Nakamura attacked him, and Cody fought back. They had to be separated by Adam Pearce and some other officials. A little bit later on, a few segments later, Michael Cole told us that the decision was made that in light of this brawl in the back, their main event tonight had now been changed to a street fight. They were doing bull rope matches on some of the live events. I know they did a bull rope match in Madison Square Garden last week, or 2 weeks ago. So I thought that they were going to do maybe a bull rope match, but it ended up being a street fight. Kayden Carter and Katana Chance against Chelsea Green and Piper Niven for the women's tag team titles. They showed Natalya, Tegan Nox, Ivy Nile, Maxine Dupree, Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, Candice LeRae, and Indy Hartwell backstage watching on a monitor, watching very intently. Late in the match, Carter had Green on her shoulders while sitting on the turnbuckle, and Katana Chance brought her down with a Hurricane Rana. She took this woman all the way down to the mat. Only got a near fall out of it, but that was a great spot. That was a great spot, and it got a great reaction. Carter blocked an unprettier, but Green followed with a Rough Rider for 2. I wonder where she learned that from. Where do you think she learned that move from? The referee was late, counting the fall because he was checking on Katana. Niven tagged in, hit a senton while Carter was draped over Chelsea's knees, but Katana Chance broke up the cover. Piper now was in the corner. Piper in Portland. There you go. We had a Piper in Portland tonight. Piper was setting up for a Vader bomb, but Katana Chance pulled her partner out of harm's way. And Niven did not realize that they had placed Chelsea in position. And she ended up giving her own partner, unwittingly giving her own partner a Vader bomb. Chance caught Niven coming off the ropes. So Piper was standing there, and here comes Chance off the ropes, hits a code breaker on the way down, and they finished off Chelsea with their keg stand finish to retain their women's tag team titles. That's a big win for Katana Chance and Kayden Carter because the people are clearly getting behind them. And you know why they're getting behind them? Because they're a fucking great team. That's why. Because I've been saying that for years since I first saw them gelling together in NXT. Like, damn, you know, they actually come across as a legitimate team. They were like the only pairing I saw that were coming up with these kind of innovative double team maneuvers and working on tandem offense like a real team would do. So it's nice to see them start to get some reaction from these people because they are a very good tag team. I just wish they had more very good tag teams to work with. Like legitimate tag teams. Not that the people they showed on camera in the back are not good, but you want to count the number of legitimate teams on that women's roster. You know, you might have 2 or 3 at the most. I wish they had more. I wish they had more. The one good thing about this is, you know, showing all those women in the back paying attention and watching this match, it's clear Triple H is making an attempt. He's trying. He's trying to make an attempt here with this division. It's gonna take time. I wish they had more legitimate teams. Maybe in time they will. But at least he's trying. And that's more than I can say for whatever Vince McMahon and his merry band of misfits there were doing previously, a year ago. You know, they didn't give a shit. They still barely give a shit. Right? But there's a little shit there to give, right? A little shit is better than no shit. Right? Unless you have a pet. Then that's the complete opposite. But that's not what we're talking about here. But they're a very good team. And I'm glad that the people of Portland were showing some love for them. And I thought the match was pretty good, too. I thought it was a good match.
It's the amazing Gunther.
Oh, he's making an encore.
Loves Gunther, the magnificent. All hail Gunther.
It's Gunther.
Oh my God, a super chat bomb. That's a bigger bomb than the New York Mets.
Hey, Fahad with the $58 Gunther bomb here on this stream. Fahad, no message. No message, just wanted to show some love from our boy, Fahad. Fahad, I hope you're having a good New Year, man. It's already been showing up a couple of times here on these streams. Love it. Love it. Let's keep this train going here because Michael Cole said that they had some footage that might explain why R-Truth believes that he is a member of the Judgment Day. I said, I wonder what this could be. So the video started out serious, like a documentary almost, with Truth talking about, you know, the fact that he was born in North Carolina on a cold January morning. He said that he told the doctor, and they had this dramatized this image of a doctor holding a small baby in his hand, looking at the baby, and the baby is looking up at him. And he said he told the doctor this, right? He's a baby, but he told the doctor this, that one day he would be in the Judgment Day. And they showed this image of a group of babies dressed up like members of the Judgment Day. Look at baby, I assume is that Finn? I guess that would be Finn, right? With the beard on the end. Is that Finn to the far left there with the purple scarf and the mohawk? Look at the kid third from the left. I guess that's Rhea. Little badass there in the leather jacket. This is amazing. So this is what he always dreamed of here. He always dreamed of being a member of the Judgment Day. And Truth then talked about all the things that he had been through, but not really, with all the various members of the group. And they showed photos of them, basically with him edited in, including on a ladder next to Damian Priest's ladder when he won Money in the Bank. And they showed Rhea Ripley posing on the turnbuckles, pointing up at the WrestleMania sign when she won the Women's Rumble. And then there in the corner, you see R-Truth is there. They even showed a photo of the VHS cover for the Judgment Day In Your House pay-per-view from '98. That was the show where Undertaker wrestled Kane with Steve Austin as the guest referee when the title was held up. The title was in abeyance, right? It was vacant. That was the night that Vince McMahon fired Stone Cold, and I still remember reading about all the angry phone calls that came into the switchboard at Titan Tower, but people who actually thought that Vince had fired Austin. They were beside themselves with anger, all the Austin fans. How dare you fire him? You need to rehire this man. They got inundated with phone calls. So they showed that VHS cover. That got a laugh out of me. Truth said in the video, they're a real family now that JD McDonough is gone. He mentioned Dom and Nick Mysterio. Don't know who that is. He said that Nick is his brother, even though they've never met. And it ended with Truth saying, as we always say in the Judgment Day, live, laugh, and love. And they come back live to the Judgment Day Clubhouse with Damian Priest, Finn Bálor, Rhea Ripley, Dominic, and JD McDonough. And JD is complaining about the live, laugh, and love slogan and said, that's not even something we say. Because when are we going to stop taking it easy on this guy? And Priest cut him off and actually admitted that he found all of this very amusing. But he said, when the time comes, I'm going to handle R-Truth. And a thought occurred to me. Are we going to have R-Truth be the one who, inadvertently costs Damian Priest his cash-in when he finally cashes in his Money in the Bank? Are they going to play comedy into this? And is R-Truth going to cost Damian Priest his cash-in? Is that where we're headed with this? I think it's possible. Priest wondered, why are we not talking about taking care of Drew McIntyre? And Rhea Ripley said that he's not an enemy. Priest questioned if it was smart of her to make an enemy out of Nia Jax. And Rhea said that she would take care of it. And then she told JD that she needed him to go take care of The Miz, which was up next. We had The Miz one-on-one with JD McDonough, who had Dominic Mysterio in his corner. R-Truth showed up at ringside. He tried to buddy up to Dom, who asked, what the hell are you doing here? And later on, Dominic took a cheap shot at The Miz while the referee was caught up with McDonough. Miz threw the Daniel Bryan kicks, which got yes chants from the crowd. He also applied a figure four, but McDonough got a rope break. Miz drop kicked McDonough into Dominic on the floor at one point. And then back in the ring, he hit the skull-crushing finale for the win. After the match, Truth helped Dominic to his feet. He got shoved aside, and so he ended up getting in the ring and raising Miz's arm. I don't know how, but this was the longest match of the show up until this point. I have no idea why. I have no idea how. This was not the longest match on the show, including the main event, but pretty much compared to anything else, this was, I think, the second longest thing on the entire show. We had the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins, out to the ring next to talk to the people of Portland. Rollins said that we're a few weeks away from the Royal Rumble, and then we are going to be on the road to WrestleMania. He said he's had some big moments at WrestleMania. He's challenged for championships. He's even cashed in for one. But he's never taken a world title into WrestleMania before. He said he's never been on the marquee, but that's going to change this year. Oh, yeah, that's what Cody thought, too. And that remains to be seen. Not if Dwayne has something to say about that. I wouldn't be so sure. But he's convinced he's going to be on the marquee. He's going to be in the main event this year. He said he's worked too hard and too long. He said he took a title that did not exist a year ago and he turned it into the most important prize in the industry. He did it by doing what he said he would do, and that is be a fighting champion. And Rollins said the work is not done. He wondered, who will I be facing at WrestleMania? And there was some chants for CM Punk, some light chants for Punk. It wasn't anything overwhelming. And he said, in his dreams, maybe. He talked about how loaded the Raw roster is from top to bottom when all of a sudden Jinder Mahal interrupted. Second straight week that we have gotten Jinder Mahal here on TV. He got in the ring, he called himself the real revolutionary and said Rollins' only role was to entertain all of the clowns. And Mahal said that Rollins was the champion, but he instilled no change and he spoke no truth. He sang and he danced, but he brought no value and he threw temper tantrums after the show when things didn't go his way. He prided himself on being a workhorse who offered opportunities, except to a former champion like him. He said that Rollins overlooked him. He's a man who beat Randy Orton, the greatest of all time. Doesn't he know that John Cena is the greatest of all time? You know how I know that? Because WWE tells me every time John Cena comes back. He is the greatest of all time, right? They say it all the time. You can't have more than one greatest of all time. The greatest of all time implies one. One person is the greatest of all time. said he's known Rollins for a long time and he saw through his charade. Rollins said that Jinder was right. They have been overlooking him. And Rollins said that that wasn't an accident. He says for years they've been trying to forget him until last week when The Rock put his balls in a vice. Rollins gave him credit for showing up after Rock fried him last week. Rollins did not appreciate Jinder ruining his fun and getting in his face, and he offered Mahal a free shot. He was giving him his chin. He goes, go ahead. I dare you. Go ahead. He's going to give him a shot. Jinder did not take the bait. So Rollins, of course, like a moron, turned his back, and so Jinder Mahal ambushed him from behind because he gave him his back. So Jinder attacked him. Rollins fought him off, and he went for the curb stomp, but Mahal escaped in the nick of time. And they have since confirmed that, in fact, on Raw in Little Rock, Arkansas, next week, it will be one-on-one Seth Rollins defending the World Heavyweight title against Jinder Mahal. Seth freaking Rollins against Jinder fucking Mahal is your World Heavyweight title match on Raw next Monday night. But I think, because you may think, well, this is the TV match, right? Who cares? He'll beat Jinder. It's a TV match. It's 1 week. No, I don't think it's going to be 1 week. I think we're going to get it next week. And then I think whether we get a disqualification finish or even if Rollins beats him clean, I think that we are going to get Rollins and Mahal 2 at the Royal Rumble. Because who else is there? This is why WWE is going with Jinder in this spot. They've already told us that Drew McIntyre has qualified, or not qualified, but he has announced. No one qualifies for anything anymore. They just declare. I declared myself for the Royal Rumble next week. I'm going to be in the building. I'm going to be there. Maybe I will jump in the ring. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. But McIntyre is already declared for the Royal Rumble. And there's no other obvious person that would step in the next 3 weeks and challenge Rollins for the World Heavyweight title. So what do? They throw Jinder Mahal out there. Because, he'll get heat. And it's just like Nakamura, right? It's someone for Rollins to beat. That was the whole purpose of the Shinsuke Nakamura program. And they got 2 matches out of that too, right? We got to put somebody in there against Seth. He's the fighting champion. He's got to fight somebody. So we're going to get it on TV next week, and I'll guarantee you that we're going to be stuck with this as our World Heavyweight title match at the Rumble. We're getting a fatal 4-way for the WWE title on the SmackDown side. We're getting Roman Reigns defending his championship against Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight. And the Raw match is probably going to be Seth Rollins defending the World Heavyweight title against Jinder Mahal. I mean, gee, I wonder which world title match is going to have more appeal at the Royal Rumble this year. I wonder. Again, my issue with it is not even so much that, well, who better, right? Who better? There aren't a lot of good options. I mentioned Bronson Reed. They could have built somebody like him up, but they didn't do that. But the reality is, I just wish, my God, the last time we saw Jinder Mahal before The Rock fucking embarrassed him last week at the end of their segment, not so much on the promo. I actually don't think Rock embarrassed him at all on the promo. But before that, he was managing. And now they're just taking this guy and throwing him out there, and he's wrestling for the World Heavyweight title? Like, no, I can't get behind this. This is stupid. This is a waste of time. And if it's a 1-week television match, whatever. But again, like I said, I would be surprised if we don't get this run back at the Royal Rumble. And that's just fucking sad. If we get Jinder Mahal and Seth Rollins in Tampa at the stadium, I mean, that's just a fucking joke. Doesn't take much, I guess. Get yourself a World Heavyweight title match. Otis against Ivar. Even Ivar. What about Ivar? You mean to tell me that you actually you would rather see Seth Rollins defend the World Heavyweight title against Jinder Mahal than Seth Rollins defend the World Heavyweight title against Ivar? If they built up Ivar a little bit more on television with some big wins? He had one tonight over Otis. Big moonsault off the top rope, wiped him out. I think Rollins and Ivar would actually be a fucking kick-ass match for the Royal Rumble. And it's one time. Who cares, right? You build him up. Big monster going in there against Seth Rollins, right? He's a man on a mission. I've never been a world champion before. I've been racking up wins here. You call yourself a fighting champion, right? Why don't you put your money where your mouth is, huh? Revolutionary? Visionary? Defend against me at the Royal Rumble. That would have been a great fucking match. Now I'm pissed. I'd rather see Rollins and Ivar at the Rumble. Shit. There's still time, you know. They could have a number one contenders match on TV in 2 weeks. I'm just saying. You could still do it. You could put Reed in there. You could put Ivar in there. You could put somebody else in there. There's still time. Otis and Ivar, though, this match was set up earlier in the day when Ivar approached Tozawa in the back and was threatening him when Otis showed up and said he would fight him instead. There was a very impressive spot early in this match, and I say early. The match went 3 minutes, so I don't even know why I'm saying early. There was a spot in the match where Ivar was springboarding off the ropes, off the middle rope, and Otis caught him in midair. And Ivar is no small man. He springboarded off the ropes. Otis catches him, and he drops him. He actually held him for a couple of seconds, and I think he may have wanted to hold him a little bit longer, but he could tell like he was maybe not going to be able to, and he gave him a world's strongest slam. That was very impressive, and they showed a replay of it as well. Ivar slipped underneath Otis in the corner. He had him up at a powerbomb position, and he walked halfway across the ring with him and dumped him for a 2 count. Otis made a comeback. He hit the Caterpillar. Ivar came back with a big boot. He cartwheeled past Otis and caught him with a spinning heel kick. And then Ivar went up top, and he hit the moonsault, and he picked up the win. After the match, Tozawa entered the ring, and he barked at Ivar, who shoved him down, and Tozawa ended up at ringside. Ivar shouted at him that he's next. This was short, but this was fun. I don't know why they have Ivar, occupying himself with Tozawa. Get him in there with Seth Rollins. That's a match I'd like to see. Jackie Redmond was in the back interviewing main event Jey Uso. And she asked if he had any resolutions. And he said, yeet, a bunch of times. Everything was yeet. Now I kind of wish he wasn't allowed to use it anymore. So he said yeet a whole bunch of times. He's got that yeet t-shirt that's all blurred. And he said that Jey Uso is going to win his first singles championship in 2024. Bronson Reed interrupted and said that he had the same goal, and he warned Jey to stay out of his way. The main event was a street fight between Cody Rhodes and Shinsuke Nakamura to put an end to this once and for all. Both men fought to ringside, where Cody slammed a water bottle over Nakamura's head. Cody rolled Nakamura back inside. He went up top, but Shinsuke rolled back to the floor, and the fans wanted tables. That's what they wanted here. They wanted to see tables here in this street fight. Cody leaned through the ropes, and Nakamura hit him with a broom instead. You get no table, you get the broom. So Nakamura pulled out a kendo stick and brought that inside. He was working over Cody with it. And Nakamura had Cody down at ringside heading into the commercial. Cody avoided a knee drop. He went on the offensive. Nakamura came back with knees to the head. Cody fired up, and he put Nakamura down with a power slam and then followed that with a disaster kick, and he covered him but only got 2. So Nakamura hit Cody with a pair of nunchucks, and then he clotheslined him over the barricade into the timekeeper's area. Nakamura then went over. He was going to spray the red mist at Cody, but Cody ducked. And the poor timekeeper got misted instead. And Cody called for some help for the timekeeper. Nakamura hit him from behind with a chair. That took us into another commercial break. Fun fact, and Michael Cole mentioned his name on commentary. He's been their timekeeper now for a number of years. I know Mark Yeaton used to be the timekeeper. He worked there like 29 years, and he got his ass fired. Thank you for coming. But their timekeeper is named Berkeley Ottman. He's the one who got misted here. And if the name sounds kind of familiar, there's a good reason for it, because Berkeley Ottman is the son of Fred Ottman. Fred Ottman was Typhoon and the Shockmaster. So that is the Shockmaster's son. That is Shockmaster Jr. is the timekeeper. And Cody, Cody when he was a young boy, because Dusty was friends with Fred Ottman, Cody used to call him Uncle Fred, because I guess Uncle Fred would come over to their house sometimes. So now Cody and Uncle Fred's kid, they get to work in the same company together. Imagine that. Imagine being the son of the Shockmaster. So Nakamura was in control after a second break, but Cody drove him into a chair that was wedged in between the turnbuckles. Followed by some jabs. He followed that up with 2 bionic elbows. How did Mark Eaton get fired? They told him, "You're fired. You're done. Goodbye." That's how they fired him. He didn't do anything wrong. They were doing some cleaning, and he was one of the people that got cleaned out, unfortunately. Nobody could throw a beer can the way that Mark Eaton used to throw those beers to Stone Cold Steve Austin. He did a fantastic job of that. I still remember him getting super kicked by Shawn Michaels during the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12. He was part of a lot of memorable moments in that company, but no, 30 years in that company, and they just, goodbye. You're done. Thanks for your service. Here's a gold watch. I wonder what Mark Eaton is doing these days. So Cody gave the fans what they wanted finally. He pulled out the wood, did Cody Rhodes here on this show. He pulled the table out, he set it up, Nakamura headbutted him, and he placed him on it. And Nakamura followed with a double knee drop off the top through the table. It was like the slowest table break I've ever seen, but it was yet quite satisfying to watch. And so he put him through the table, only got a 2 count. Nakamura smiled as he pulled out another table from under the ring, and again the crowd popped. And he placed the table this time upright, leaned it up against the corner. Nakamura followed with a sliding German and a flying knee strike for 2. Nakamura went for the Kinshasa, but Rhodes hit a super kick and a pedigree. Only got a 2 count. He followed that with a Cody cutter for another 2. Between Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, they have really bastardized the pedigree, haven't they? But I like to think that Triple H, he's the one running the show now. So if Triple H didn't want them using the pedigree, he would say, "You're not using the pedigree." I don't think he cares. I actually think he enjoys it. And I think he enjoys it because the logic is very sound. See, if anybody else uses the pedigree, it has no effect, right? Nobody wins with it. When he hits the pedigree, it's lights out. So only he can hit an effective pedigree. Anybody else who does it is just inferior because it's not being executed by him. See, I think that's the logic. That's why he doesn't care. Because now they just use it. It's not even a finishing move anymore. Nakamura countered a crossroads into a cradle for 2, and then he tried for the Kinshasa again, but Rhodes sidestepped him, and Nakamura went crashing through the table, and Cody followed with the crossroads, and he pinned Nakamura to win the match. This is a good main event. It was a long main event. They gave them, I think, if not 25 minutes, it was pretty damn close to 25 minutes, and that puts a button on this. That's it. There's no reason to put these two back in the ring. They'll be back in the ring together in the Royal Rumble match. We'll see Nakamura and Cody in there going toe-to-toe. But as far as this program, this feud, we now put this in the rear view. Nakamura loses yet another feud. Not one victory for him against Cody or Rollins, at least not by pin. I don't recall him getting even like a DQ win. So he's now been beaten back-to-back. Thanks for coming. Anybody who thought this was the beginning of some kind of renewed Nakamura push, look, I enjoy the subtitled videos that they do with him with the anime stuff. I think that looks really cool. But again, whatever credibility he had as a top guy in this company was washed away a long time ago. And now Cody Rhodes moves on to the Royal Rumble, and the story now is, can he become the first man since Stone Cold Steve Austin to go back-to-back? I don't think he needs to. I don't. If he does, great, right? I mean, it doesn't muddy the waters, I guess. But if he doesn't, it becomes a little more interesting because now it's like, well, to get to Roman Reigns, if they're going to do the match, how does he get there, right? How do they get there? How do they get him there being on a different brand? That's where the whole concept, and we talked about this about a month ago, the whole concept of a cross-branded Elimination Chamber match where you would have a lot of people in there who have been wronged by the bloodline in some way. It might be too late now to do that with the direction they're going in, but I kind of like that idea. And you could have Cody win that, and that's how Cody gets his shot. But now, of course, with The Rock back, everything is up in the air, and nobody knows for sure exactly what they're going to do. But as I made very clear on episode 842 this weekend, it's very simple. It's great to have options. It'll keep people guessing. At the end of the day, the story is simple. It's a straight line from WrestleMania 39 to WrestleMania 40. I've said my piece. I think the main event should stay as is. October, we saw Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes come face-to-face on SmackDown. I think the video on YouTube got like 2 million views, right? Just for a face-off between Roman and Cody. And I'm sure The Rock's videos got like 10 million views. All right, fine, great. Rock can get his match in Australia. The path is very simple. Do not deviate from the path. And good things will happen. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll. About 74% thumbs up for tonight's show. About 26. 26% thumbs down. Again, I thought they opened strong, they ended strong, and everything in the middle was fine. It just wasn't terribly exciting. They opened hot, and they ended with a good main event. So, that's all you can ask for, I guess, on these 3-hour shows. We'll see what they do next week. I think next week they're up against that playoff game. Is it the first NFL playoff game ever that's exclusive to streaming? Is that next week? I think that might be next Monday. Possibly. All right, let's take a look at your super chats here. See what you guys have to say. What's on your mind? What do you guys want to talk about? As Cody would say. Jacqueline Fowler kicks us off here with the $25 super chat. Actually, picking up with the idea that we were just talking about here. Here's another idea the WWE could do to have Cody and Roman start inside the Elimination Chamber. And at the end of the match, Cody pins Roman, finishes the story, goes to WrestleMania 40 as the champion for his first defense. Eddie Guerrero did it, so why not Cody? Not what I would do, but if you wanted to have Cody finish his story at Elimination Chamber and win the title from Roman there, you could do that. It's just not the way that I would go with it, but it's an option. We've got Prince Vegeta pissed that The Last of Us did not win any awards last night at the Golden Globe. Yeah, so am I. Fucking Succession. Don't really care about award shows, but I thought the first season was excellent, and the video game is one of my favorites. Yeah, I was pissed too. I think that was a mistake. I'm a big fan of that first season of The Last of Us. I can't wait to see the next one. Tommy Colella with the $10 super chat. A year and a half ago, I came on here, and I told you the live shows got me through losing my brother. Unfortunately, I lost my mother yesterday morning, and this live show is what got me through it tonight. Well, that's rough. Tommy, I'm very sorry to hear that. That sucks. And my condolences to you. I'm glad that you can be with us tonight. Hopefully help take your mind off things for a little bit, but you know, when it's that fresh, there isn't really much else to say, you know, other than I'm very sorry to hear that. Bobby's World 2110. If Vince McMahon, fingers crossed, never gets back to creative again, will Bianca Belair go down as the last star that he made on the main roster? I don't know, because Vince was still you know, he still had an iron grip on things when Gunther was first called up. When he won the Intercontinental title, that was in June of 2022. Then he got bounced out a month later. But then he came back. So I don't know if you would consider Gunther. I don't know how much credit I want to give him for Gunther. He could have buried him. Right, I'll give him credit for at least not doing that. I think he was pretty high on the guy. But I don't know about Bianca being the last star that was made on the main roster under his watch. I don't know. I'd have to go back and see. It might be. I mean, Bianca has certainly been booked very strong since she got called up. Julian Shaw, I was in attendance tonight and it was my girlfriend's first WWE show. She enjoyed it, although feels it's superior on TV. Interesting take. Do you see a singles title in Kaiser's not too distant future? Ludwig Kaiser? I don't. That is interesting, by the way, that she enjoyed it more watching on TV. I could see that, though, because, you know, a 3-hour show with all those commercial breaks, it's one thing to be at home, and you can go do something else, you can flip to another channel. When you're in the building, there's not much you can do. You have to sit there through these breaks and these video packages. You know, I'd much rather go to a pay-per-view that's 3 or 4 hours and watch that live in person than go to a Monday Night Raw. Like, I don't even remember the last Raw that I went to, and I used to go to them like after every Mania, or if they would come to the Garden. I have no interest in going to Monday Night Raw. I have none. I have no interest in going to Monday Night Raw live because I just feel like it would be such a slog to sit there with all those breaks. I don't think that's an awkward take at all. I kind of agree with her, to be honest with you. Peter Mason, Raw was not bad. Always fun seeing it in Portland at the Monda Center. The crowd was on fire today, so my 2 questions. How do you see the payoff with R-Truth and the Judgment Day? And what are your 3 surprises for the Rumble? I made a comment before, you know, I wonder if the endgame here is R-Truth factoring into a botched Money in the Bank cash-in for Damian Priest. Otherwise, I'm not sure why he would even be affiliated with them unless he's going to play into their downfall in some way. 3 surprises for the Royal Rumble. I think we'll get Liv Morgan back in the Women's Rumble. I think we'll get Naomi. Well, you know what? There's talk that maybe she won't be available. I was going to say Naomi, because Naomi is on her way back very soon. I do think there's a chance Naomi will be in there. I'm going to say for the Women's Rumble, though, Liv Morgan, AJ Lee. And as far as the Men's Royal Rumble, any Men's Royal Rumble surprises? I think it might be somebody from NXT, maybe Braun Breaker. I think maybe we could see him. You know, I'll give you another one, too. Jade Cargill in the Women's Rumble. I think there's a pretty good chance that she'll show up. Paul Hamilton, there.
Do you feel him, sir?
I do feel him, sir. Hey, Thunder Force, thank you. Do you feel him, sir? Paul Hamilton was also at the building tonight. Read his super chat earlier. Paul, if you're listening, thank you very much, or if you're watching. Paul is the man. Rizzo. Late for the stream and missed Raw, but I got to watch my Wolverines win the national championship. Go Blue. Oh, was that on TV tonight? I don't think people knew about that. Terrence with the 1999. I can't help but feel like Cody against Roman will happen at Elimination Chamber as opposed to WrestleMania. It allows Cody to finish the story, and Rock against Roman can main event night 2 without the title. Tell me I'm wrong. Well, no. I mean, if Cody wins the title at the Chamber, then yeah, that your night 2 main event will be Rock and Roman. And more than likely then, you'll have Cody defending against Randy Orton, and I just feel like that's something that you save and you build to for SummerSlam. But if that's what happens, then yes, Rock and Roman would then take the night 2 spot. And Cody and Orton, or Cody and whoever, would be on the undercard. Dom Joseph, did you see Hook's promo on Collision? His best one. I did see his promo on Collision. I didn't think it was that great. I mean, he comes off like a badass. I like the way it was shot. You could tell promos are not his strong suit. It's probably why he didn't talk for a long time. I saw a lot of people like lavishing praise on it. I didn't think it was that great, to be honest with you, but he challenged Samoa Joe. So he's going to be apparently wrestling Samoa Joe on TV soon, I guess, for the AEW World title. I guess we'll find out because Joe's going to be on Dynamite this week, so we'll find out if he responds. Drew Johnson with the 50. Drew, thank you. I will make like a tree and get out of here very soon. But not yet. We're not done yet. Fahad, thank you for the 58 bucks, Fahad. I love you, brother. The Winston Slip. What woman will be the first to win the Rumble twice? Becky Lynch. Could happen this year. Base Beer is God of Seduction with the $13 wooings. Buy or sell, Retribution or Hit Row? Retribution or Hit Row? The next 3 WWE pay-per-views are set to be great. 4 if Backlash is like last year. Cena may be the GOAT, but Randy and Edge had the greatest match ever. That's right. It has to be because that's what they called it, right? The greatest match ever. It was taped. It wasn't even live. It was a taped match. Buy or sell on Retribution or Hit Row? My God. Of the two, I have to say Retribution because at least they got more screen time. But they will go down as 2 of the worst factions of all time. Ali. Jinder should have come back, admitted he was Canadian, and said relying on American xenophobia was easy money. Still heel, but at least a refresh. I would have more respect for them if they just came out and admitted it. Paul Pompey. Do you think Sting is retiring in March so that he can induct Lex Luger into the Hall of Fame in April if he goes in? I do not think that is why Sting is retiring in March. I think Sting is retiring in March because he just doesn't think he can hold up to another 6 months and get to Wembley Stadium. I think it's exactly what he told Tony Khan. Doesn't mean that WWE wouldn't reach out and see if they would allow him, assuming Sting is still under contract, that they would allow him to do the induction. Just because Sting is retiring and wrestling his last match does not mean that his contract is up with AEW. His contract would not be up with AEW. I expect him to still be there. He could be like an ambassador for the company. They'll have the likeness. If they do another game, they could put him in the game. So I don't know that he'll be available. But if WWE reached out, it would be up to Tony Khan, basically. If he wanted to respect Sting, and if Sting wanted to do it, Tony Khan might say okay. Otherwise, I don't know that Tony Khan would really be inclined to give WWE anything, because in his mind, they have not dealt with him in good faith in the past. I don't think that he would be all that interested in dealing with them. Jarrett Rodriguez, I feel like a lot of the current themes suck. Off the top of your head, what's your least favorite theme today? Mine has got to be Damage Control. My least favorite theme? Yeah, I did. Juliet, I did see that Swerve has been cast in a horror film. I forgot the name of it. But yeah, he's been cast in a horror film. Oh man, there was a lot of really just shitty theme songs today. Yeah, theme music today sucks overall. Compared to the way it used to be, it's just not the same. As far as the worst one, I'm just thinking WWE right now. I'm trying to think what my least favorite WWE theme is. DIY's new theme is not bad. That's not a bad theme, actually. You know what, I might go at, like, I don't know, Austin Theory, maybe? I don't know, I mean, very few of these theme songs move me. You know, they're not as fun. They're not as fun, and they just don't hit the way they used to. You know, there are some that are very good, but the quality of the music has deteriorated greatly over these past few years. I could tell you which theme is on the list of all time that I don't want to listen to. It's a certain mode. But I'm trying to stick to current themes. Base Beer is Broken Back Mount Rushmore. Seth, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, and Hulk Hogan. A broken back Mount Rushmore. Well, speaking of Flair, there he is. Seth Rollins, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, and Hulk Hogan. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's your broken back Mount Rushmore? I thought that said broke back Mount Rushmore. I didn't know where you were going with that question. At my eyes at first when I saw that, I said, "Bro, what is your broke back Mount Rushmore?" I don't know. I know Ric Flair certainly wouldn't be on it. Prince Vegeta 95. They present Nakamura like a cheesy anime villain. The dude has no credibility. His career could have been so much better if he beat AJ in 2018. Well, I got news for you. Even if he would have beaten AJ in 2018, he would be exactly in the position that he's in. He would not have made a lick of difference. Samuel Hayworth. Gunther should challenge Seth at the Royal Rumble. Unless he's winning the world title, that's a terrible idea. Keep Gunther away from Seth as long as possible until you are ready for him to challenge and to beat him for the World Heavyweight title. That will not happen so long as he's the Intercontinental Champion. I would love to have seen that as the WrestleMania match. As soon as Punk came back, though, I think everything blew up. And so just put it off until the time is right. Now is not the right time to do that match. Arabian Night, very tamed street fight and a little too slow-paced. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fun. Thunder Force 2000, to all the fans who say that The Rock cannot have his last match at Elimination Chamber, remember that The Undertaker had his last match in front of no audience at all. That is true. That is true. Now, Ray, come on now. You're being a little hard on the DIY. Now, maybe I just was so disgusted by the updated Rebel Heart theme that Johnny Gargano had that I am being a little generous here, but I don't hate the new DIY. The Johnny Gargano updated theme was just fucking garbage. Absolute garbage. And I'm just glad he's not using it anymore. So I will take the DIY theme over that. El Prez Cat, another universe MJF Rumble 2024. What would you do? If MJF were available, and I mean, that'd be tough, you know, that would be very tough to not have him win the whole thing. But I'll tell you what I would do. If MJF truly was a free agent as of January 1st, and I don't believe that he is, plus he's hurt, so it doesn't matter anyway. If he was not hurt and if he was a free agent and WWE could debut him as a surprise at the Royal Rumble, I would debut him as a surprise in the Royal Rumble, and I would have him eliminate CM Punk. So whether he eliminates Punk to win it, or he just eliminates Punk to fuck Punk over so Punk doesn't win it, and you do Punk and MJF at a WrestleMania. That's what I would do. M. Mills, thank you for the $5. TLA, do I think Brock is done? No. Where there is money to be made, Brock is not done. Brock will be back. Brock may be back in the Rumble. You know, he'll be back. Base Beer is Jinder Hassan or Muhammad Mahal. Also, Solo against Khali in Punjabi prison. Book it. Yeah, we've already booked it. Believe me, nobody wants to see the rematch from Be the Booker. Arabian Night, do you see Bianca and Naomi at WrestleMania? Like Drew, she is stuck. Yes, I see them both. Oh, you mean against each other? Yeah, maybe. I mean, if she goes to SmackDown, which is where I assume she's going, because that's where Jimmy is. Bianca and Naomi could be a WrestleMania match. Yeah, I think Charlotte going down opened up a huge void on that side of the card. And if Mercedes is going to AEW, which is what a lot of these reports seem to be indicating, she could debut on Dynamite as soon as this week, then I think we could potentially see Bianca and Naomi at WrestleMania. Thunder Force, who is more likely to have a stare down at the Royal Rumble? Punk and Cena or AJ Lee and Becky? AJ and Becky. And Base Beerus, Nakamura is a Royal Rumble winner. He is. That's what I said before. He won the Royal Rumble. So is Alberto Del Dipshit. I don't know what point you're trying to make here. Just stating facts. Alberto is also a Royal Rumble winner. He's not even in the company anymore. Be the Booker goal was 400 likes, and we are at 430. And so Be the Booker has officially been unlocked. So let's go ahead and book ourselves some matches, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to Be the Booker.
Oh, Chad Gable. What happened to Chad Gable coming back and getting his revenge on Gunther? The story was right there. This guy hasn't even been on television. I just don't know. I just don't get it. I don't know, man. All right, tag team Be the Booker. A lot of great teams in here. We had a triple threat match the other night because we landed on a stipulation. So let's see. We've got Crime Time. I do miss Crime Time. But there you go. Crime Time. Never won the tag titles, right? I don't believe so. No, I don't think they did. Or did they? I don't even remember. Title reigns like during that whole period. I don't remember. Especially if it was a short run, then I have no memory of it. But here we go. Let's see. Shad and JTG. Rest in peace, Shad. It's going to be Crime Time taking on Deuce and Domino. And really, that's more for Deuce and Domino than for Crime Time, but that is not a match that I would be booking. I'm sorry to say. Not the way I wanted to start. Let's see if we can do better. Women's Be the Booker. Alicia Fox. Alicia Fox. I don't know, man. I just don't know. I just don't know. It's going to take a hell of a name for me not to hit this buzzer right here. Alicia Fox against Medusa. Now, I liked Medusa. And Medusa was a hell of a worker. She was a hell of a wrestler. Medusa against Alicia Fox, though. It can only be one. It can only be one outcome. And that's the buzzer. I'm sorry. That's just not going to cut it. It's just not. This will not sell tickets. I'm trying to book matches that will sell tickets. Why is this promoting things so hard? All right, we begin with Absolute Ricky Starks. There you go. This man's going to be a star. This man's going to be in WWE before the year is out. That's where he's going to be. Absolute Ricky Starks is going to be stepping into the ring. And who will his opponent be? It's going to be Ricky Starks going up against Powerhouse Hobbs. Boy, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? I feel like we've seen this match before. In fact, I was in the building for their match at Grand Slam a couple of years ago. How about that for a match? Powerhouse Hobbs against Ricky Starks. At least we got one. At least we got one. I know we've seen this one before, but I think those two would have a very good match. At least we saved it. At least we got one. 1 for 3. Where's ABK when you need him? Where's he at? Manuel Macias. Does Cody almost being 40 impact his chances of being the face of WWE? Or does Triple H not mind? Do you think I feel like he was younger, it would help? Yeah, if he was younger, it would help, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. He's not an old man. I think Cody, even though he's, I guess he's 39 going on 40. It's kind of like his story. 39 going on 40. 40 being where he will win the WWE Championship. I don't think it's going to make a difference as far as him finishing his story and winning the title. Is he going to be the face of the company for the next 5 years, 10 years? Maybe not 5 or 10 years, but I don't think it's going to affect his standing in the company just because he's almost 40. Truly Spencer, I was at Raw in Portland. They took my Solomonster sign. Yeah, unfortunately, Paul told me about that last time they came to Portland. I guess that's probably building policy. So all you Portland people, word to the wise. And I love seeing those Solomonster signs, no matter what city you're in. So by all means, wherever you're going to be, hopefully they don't have that same policy in your hometown arena. If you bring a sign, let me know. Take a picture of it, tweet me, let me know, and I'll keep an eye out for you. I'll give you a shout out. But if you're in Portland, you got to do what Paul did. Paul was able to smuggle in a banner under his shirt. That's why he was able to have a sound-off banner. But unfortunately, that's just what they do at some of these buildings. I mean, that's what they did to Fawaz at the last Saudi show. Fawaz, every time they go to Saudi Arabia, he's my guy over there. He's always representing the podcast. He's always got a sign right on the hard cam. It's amazing. And then the most recent Saudi show, they were taking everybody's signs away from them. So he made this great sign, and they took it away. And I don't know if it's going to be like that every time they go back there. So you always take a chance when you do that, but I appreciate the people who take the time to. And some of these signs, too, are very, very creative. They stand out. That's what I like to see. Amiibo Juice, Crime Time against Deuce and Domino actually happened. Did it? Again, I have no recollection of this. No, I am not going to make a sign for myself at the Royal Rumble. I'm not going to be that close to the ring. I mean, I think our seats are pretty good, but they're not that good. Plus, I would have to be such a self-absorbed asshole to bring my own sign to a show. Who does that? Who would bring their own sign to the show? I guess some people would do it if they're trying to get their brand on television, but I can't be bothered with that. I got to take notes anyway. I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be working during the show. I need you guys to bring the signs. I have work to do. The Winston Slip, who is your favorite women's wrestler ever? Wow, ever. Ever is a long time, man. Ever is a very long time. My favorite women's wrestler ever. God. I used to love, you know what I used to like? The Jumping Bomb Angels. I don't know if they're my favorite ever, but I like the Jumping Bomb Angels. I feel like they were way ahead of their time. Look, I'm a big Sasha Banks fan. I was sold on her from some of her matches at NXT, and then the Brooklyn Takeover match is my favorite women's match of all time. So it's hard for me to say anybody but Sasha. I'm a huge fan of her work. And if I had to only pick one person, I might go with her. Jay from New Jersey, Alicia Fox against Melina. Why I got into wrestling. Well, then you got into wrestling for all the wrong reasons. Base Beerus, did you catch the Cat Williams interview with Shannon Sharp? I still don't know what is the whole controversy with Cat Williams. I saw his name was trending, and I just skipped right past it because I just didn't have any interest. I don't know what is going on with Cat Williams. Is there a controversy of some kind? I am completely in the dark on what the story is. Base Beerus also says John Stossel is so salty he hates the business. Well, John Stossel has always come across as a giant asshole. So that could be why. He just seems like a miserable prick. What did you do in Portland? Crime Time Jason. What did I do in Portland? I did go to Portland. I was in Portland on business a number of years ago. I was only there for like 2 days, I think. I'm going to be honest with you, there just wasn't a whole lot to do. I mean, it seems like a nice place, but there just wasn't a whole lot to do. I enjoyed some of the restaurants I went to, and we drove past the basketball arena there. And that was about it. That was about it. Don't know what else to say. But Allie, thank you for the super chat. Arabian Night, could Andrade be the one to beat Gunther? No. Chris Manson, Solomonster was the best part of the 2016 Royal Rumble. We had good seats, didn't we? We were right there on the hard cam all night. Because that's the building in Orlando. So when you look at the hard cam review, you see the metal, it's like the metal barrier, the metal barricade. It's like one level up. And like that's, I don't remember if we were behind it or right in front of it, but like myself and Noah Mark, our whole little crew, we were right there on camera the entire show. And it opened with a hell of an Intercontinental title match too, between Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose. I think it might have been a last man standing match. Jay says, come on, Solo, you missed the Cameron reference. Did I? I may have. I wouldn't have Cameron on my list of all-time favorite female superstars. Base Beerus says, favorite cartoon growing up. Do you like Tom and Jerry? I was never a fan of Tom and Jerry. I didn't watch Tom and Jerry. I was a huge Inspector Gadget guy. Loved Inspector Gadget. Woody Woodpecker, Looney Tunes, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon from '87, the Ghostbusters cartoon, probably from the same year. The Smurfs. Yeah, I watched all. Oh my God. He-Man and Thundercats. So for me, it would probably be He-Man, Thundercats, and Inspector Gadget. Didn't even watch G.I. Joe that much, to be honest. I was never even really a G.I. Joe guy. Which is kind of weird because you would think like Sergeant Slaughter was like G.I. Joe and I was a wrestling fan from a young age, but no. I was never really a G.I. Joe guy. Hey, there's Solomonster in the Shield. I'm young. Damn right I am. Why? What? Oh, Garfield too. I used to watch Garfield. Dennis the Menace was another one I would watch. Jay says, the 90s X-Men cartoon is the greatest intro song. I'll take that Inspector Gadget song and the Ninja Turtles song. I'll put that up against any other song. G.I. Joe was tops in the 80s. Well, maybe for some people, not for me. Not for me, it wasn't. My Pet Monster? What the hell's that? That was a cartoon? My Pet Monster? I'm not familiar with that one. Scooby-Doo and the Flintstones? Yep. I watched them too. Not my favorites, but I watched Scooby-Doo, the Jetsons. I watched the Jetsons. I watched the Flintstones. I mean, I'm not going to name every cartoon. I can name a whole bunch, but the ones that I mentioned are the ones that were my favorites. I would watch Darkwing Duck. I would watch DuckTales. Pink Panther I didn't really watch too much of. Oh, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show was a favorite of mine with Lou Albano. It would go in and out with the live action and cartoons. Yep, Super Mario Brothers Super Show, man. That was the shit back in the day. That's what it was all about. Man, you guys are you're bringing back some memories for me now. Tailspin? Yeah, maybe Tailspin might have been one. But it was more Darkwing Duck and DuckTales. DuckTales was always on when I would come home from school. No, it's not Teddy Ruxpin. It was Teddy Ruxpin. I had a Teddy Ruxpin bear. But I didn't watch him on TV. I used to watch Max Headroom on TV back in the 80s. And people are like, what? What's that? Look it up. Max Headroom, man. Max Headroom was awesome. What did I think of Hulk Hogan's show? Oh, the Hulk Hogan Rock and Wrestling cartoon. Yep, I watched that too. They used to put it on. They used to have it on the network, and then they took it down. They never put it back up. What a waste. Funny Anna 23. Thank you for the $2. Tom and Jerry was the original 1,000 Ways to Die. Actually, that would be the Roadrunner and the Coyote. Roadrunner, the Roadrunner and Coyote was probably the first cartoon that made me like laugh out loud. Like, just, it still makes me laugh. If I were to go back and watch it now, I bet you I would laugh out loud. Just some of he puts the bird seed down on the road, and then he hides on the side, and he waits. And the Roadrunner comes and eats the bird seed, and he's waiting for the rock to fall, and it just doesn't. And then the Roadrunner takes off after he's eaten the bird seed, and he just goes back over and tries to figure out why it didn't work. And then it falls. I mean, come on, this is comedy, man. Like, how can you not find this funny? How can you not find this funny? You know what else I used to watch, since we're on the subject? Since you're bringing back all these memories. I don't know how many of you used to watch a show called, it was on PBS. Ghost Rider? Not Ghost Rider, Ghost Writer. I used to watch Ghost Rider quite a bit. I don't know how many of you remember that one. That's right. Wile E. Coyote. Super genius. He'd go off the cliff. He would go off the cliff. And you'd have that delay, and then they'd have the overhead shot of him just falling like into the canyon. Man, I could watch those all day. You know, they probably have them on YouTube. I could probably look it up and find a whole bunch on YouTube. YouTube has everything. There's I'll tell you one last little story here. We used to have a thing at school. It was like a talent show, I guess. And it would be at night. And so they'd get everybody gathered in the auditorium, and it was a whole big deal because, oh, you're coming back to school at night, you know, and everybody's all dressed up nice and everything. So they would keep you in an auditorium, and then like in a different place is where everybody was performing. So when you were just waiting around in the auditorium, they wheeled on this giant cart. They just wheeled in a regular television, and they would play these Bugs Bunny cartoons. And there was one cartoon in particular, and I don't know if the episode had a title or what movie it was a part of, if it was a movie, but you probably remember this one. It was the one where it was him staying over at, it might have been Dracula's castle or something, and he was trying to like kill the rabbit or eat the rabbit. But every time he would say like abracadabra, like Dracula, let's just call him Dracula, would turn into a bat. Okay. And so you'd have to say hocus pocus, and then he would turn back into his human form. And so they did this thing where, Bugs is like walking down the hallway and the guy's right behind him. He's going to kill him or whatever. And he's like, abracadabra. And then he would turn into a bat. So like if he had I think he had a brick, he was like holding a brick or something. And the bunny would say abracadabra, and he would turn into a bat. But now he's got the brick, and the brick would fall down on him. It's just, I don't know. Some of this stuff, it just stays in my head. It's just, I can't really explain to you why. Some things I remember and some things I don't. But my childhood was pretty fucking cool. The more I think about it, my childhood was pretty cool. Today, I feel like if I was growing up today, I'd be on my fucking iPad. I'd be watching all kinds of weird shit. I don't know. It's not the same. Not the same. Hey, Justin G, thank you for the gift and membership. Base Beer says Ren and Stimpy. Nah, was never a Ren and Stimpy guy. It's never a Ren and Stimpy guy. Power Rangers and Rugrats, that was like right after me. I was too old for that stuff at that point. Hey, Ray was gifted a membership. Look at that. I don't know if Ray already had a membership. I don't think so. Well, now Ray is officially a member. Deputy Dog says they had great cartoons and now it is trash. Is it that bad? I don't know what the current cartoons look like. They probably do suck compared to the way they used to be. The Simpsons, it's the weirdest thing, because the Simpsons has been around since, 89 probably? I was never a Simpsons guy. I really wasn't. I could probably count on one hand, maybe two, the number of, full Simpsons episodes I've ever watched. And I don't know why. I just was never really a big Simpsons guy. Oh, Beavis. Oh, my God. Beavis and Butthead, of course. Beavis and Butthead is one of my favorites. What's it called? Oh, it's a short. Okay. Transylvania 6-5000. Okay, I'm going to look that up when we're done here. The Bugs Bunny thing I was referring to is called Transylvania 6-5000. I'm going to check that out. I am going to check that out. The Winston Slip. I did draw all of my animated series, brother, says Hulk Hogan. Yeah, I bet Hogan would claim he wrote the script. He did all the illustrations for it and all the animation. Just like he wrote, remember the story about how he wrote all the songs, all 12 songs on his album in one night? He and Jimmy Hart got in a room and they just wrote the whole album out. Always fun to lapse into these random conversations. But that's why we have fun here. Next time I'm going to be live with you guys will be Wednesday night. So we're going to be talking AEW Dynamite. Samoa Joe will be back on the show this week. So we'll see what he has to say. And we'll see about these Mercedes rumors going around. I mean, there were people saying she was going to be on the show this past week and she wasn't. So the only thing for sure with this woman is that until you see her on TV, nothing is for sure. But perhaps we will see her on Dynamite and then live again on Friday for SmackDown. So we got 2 more live streams this week to go. If you missed episode 842, please do me a favor. I would very much appreciate it if you go And check out the latest episode, the full episode, not just the clips. Not all the clips make YouTube. Go check out the full show. A lot of good stuff covered yesterday. And also, if it's on Spotify, if you check it on there, leave a comment. You can leave a 5-star rating and leave a comment as well on each episode. And so the more engagement we get on there, the better off we are. So be well, stay safe. I'm going to get the hell out of here and go check out... I'm going to go check out that Transylvania episode. That short. Maybe I'll go to sleep watching some of this stuff. And we'll come back and we'll do it again on Wednesday night. So thank you for all the love. I'll see you guys then. Have a good night.